to the class. Yeah, I take it as like no. Okay, so today we'll be discussing about some important interview programs as well as to understand how this arrays works. So those programs are with respect to how do we find out duplicate elements, sorting of arrays, left rotation, right rotation, finding second highest element, finding eighth highest, okay, some nth highest. So these programs we'll discuss. After that, we are going to discuss about two-dimensional, multi-dimensional. We are going to discuss about jagged arrays. Okay. So these are the things that we are going to cover as part of arrays, and we'll be done with this once we have discussed all these things. Okay. So first we'll discuss about duplicate arrays, duplicate elements in an array. Okay. So now to find out the duplicate elements in an array, so what we are going to do is, like, I'll just rename this. Yeah. So let us consider we have some, when we are talking about like duplicate arrays. So let us take 1, 2, 3, 4. There is a set, okay? 3, 5, 6. And at the same time, we have the same number of elements here. Okay. So I want to find out like how many duplicate elements, like duplicate numbers which are repeated. Okay. So the numbers which are repeated the multiple times, okay, more than like once. So I want to count like how many times this particular number is repeated. Okay. So for this, what I'm going to do is like I'll write a logic. Like, first, what I need to do is like I need to take the value and I need to compare with the rest of the values. Okay. So if I need to take the value, one value at a time, so what I need to do is like I need to take the for loop. Okay. The first for loop would be picking one element at a time. Okay. One value. Let us take one value at a time. And the second for loop is like it's going to comparing. Okay. This value is being compared with the rest of the values. Like in the first iteration, this value will be taken and it will be compared with 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Sorry, 1. So here, what it does is like it's going to, now when we get this, like, repeated number, so we are going to maintain a flag here. Okay. So I'm going to put some flag called count. Okay. So flag in the sense just to count some variable. Okay. So initially I'm taking it as like 0. So once I find something, then what I'm going to do is like I'm going to increment this. Okay. So what is that condition that I'm going to put here is like if some array value, that is nothing but I'm taking a of I is equals to a of j. Okay. So if this condition is true, then what I'm going to do is like I'm going to increment the count. Okay. So after this, what I'm going to do is like another thing is like I'll put another condition here. That is if condition if count is greater than 0. Okay. So after this for loop. Okay. The for loop what we are talking about is like second for loop. Comparison is done. Okay. In the first iteration, I've just taken this number and I'm trying to compare with the rest of the numbers. Okay. So I tried to find out the duplicates and I got the count also. Okay. So that in this case, the count is like you can see this is like one value and this is like one value and this is a one value, that we have like 3 values which are like that's nothing but the one which is repeated for multiple times, that is more than 0 times. Okay. So here what I'm going to do is like I'll put this condition and I'm going to print it here. Okay. So just to print like A of I. So that is nothing but I want to print the value which is compared, and we found that this many number of times it is repeated. Okay. So this many number of times it is repeated. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to print that. Okay. So after this for loop, okay. So this everything will be inside this for loop. That's nothing but see for iterations that we want to continue with the value comparison, and if is like condition that here we are taking some value and we are comparing the value through this set of iterations, like which we have put as conditions in the second for loop. And after that, if I find that value it is repeating, then I'm going to increment the count. Okay. So this will be like, continuous loop here. Okay. So this will be inside this, and this whole thing will be inside this for loop. Okay. We put it here. Okay. So one is like compared with the values what we have in the array. Okay. And we are printing it. Okay. So here we are printing the value. Printing the duplicate value. Let us take like duplicate value. So after this, what I'm going to do is like, again, I'm going to take the next value. Okay. This value comparison is done. I've just found out like few values are there which are repeated in the array. So I just counted it and I printed it. Okay. Number of times the duplicate element is repeated. And second value I'm going to take and I'm going to compare with rest of the values. Okay. So second value is like here, the for loop will be incremented. That is I incremented by one value. Okay. The position. Okay. The index. Position or index. So we'll take the index of 1 and we compare the values, the rest of the bits. Okay. So here what could be the condition here? So in the for loop, we are going to put condition is equal to int I is equal to 0, because the value whatever we are taking it is available at the index 0. Okay. And the condition is like I is less than some a dot length, then I plus plus. Okay. So after this value, I need to take the next value. That is why we are taking the I plus plus. Okay. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to put here in the for loop. Okay. So I'll write it here, compare. Okay. So in this, we have slightly changing the values. Okay. So it will become J because we have already have this I value, and this will become J. This will become J. Okay. So here J is equals to 0. If I take J is equal to 0, if I compare same value with the value that I have taken from the first for loop, then what happens is like it will show you it as like a duplicate. To avoid this, what I'm going to do is like I'll slightly change this condition. That's nothing but I'm going to take I plus 1. Okay. If I becomes 0, 0 plus 1 is like 1. So it will take this position of value in this iteration. Okay. So in this for loop, and it will continue the loop. Okay. So if I take this value, so it's going to compare with this value. Okay. So first we'll try to find out what are the duplicate elements that are being repeated here. Okay. With the help of this pseudocode. This is nothing but pseudocode, guys. Okay. If you need to explain it in interview, then you can explain this when you need not to write a complete code. Just you need to explain these things. Okay. So now I'm going to take array with the values that we have there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm intentionally putting some repeated values so that I can. So what is that for loop? Int I is equals to 0. I is less than a dot length. I plus plus. Okay. And after that, we are going to write another for loop. J is equals to I plus 1. Okay. So J is less than I dot length, J plus plus. So here I'm going to check A of I. Okay. So A of I, what is that A of I? This is the A of I value. Okay. So A of I is equals to A of J. Okay. So we have only one set of arrays, but we have two for loops here. In this first for loop, what it does is like it's going to take the value of this and it's going to get into this for loop So this, it will not, the control will not come out of this for loop until this condition is failed. Okay, this condition is failed. So first it will take this for loop and it will take one value at a time. And after that, what it does is like, it's going to take this value at the first iteration. It will check the value. If it is equals to the value that we had taken, it will increment the count. For that, what we have to do? We have to take another variable count equals to 0. Okay. So after this, what we have to do? As we discussed, like we have to increment the count. Okay. So here we have taken the count is equals to 0. If this is equals to this one, it will increment the count. Otherwise, what it does? It will keep on taking the values which are there available in the arrays. Then it will continuously try to compare the values. Okay. So here the comparison is done. Okay. This loop is taken to pick the value and do the comparison here. This is the condition. If it is matching, then it will count. Otherwise, it will keep on continuing until all the elements are taken and compared. Now we see that this condition is failing. Now what it does, like it will become I++. It will take this value and it will try to compare this 2 with the rest of the values which are there in the set. Okay. So likewise, it will keep on continuing. But at the first iteration from the first for loop, we are taking this value and trying to see that if any value is like duplicated or if any value is like repeated. In that case, what we have to do is like we have to increment the count, right? So if I don't put this count here, our count is equals to 0, then what happens is like, if let us take like example, see, if we found 1 here, what is the count? Count becomes 1. Okay, count becomes 1. If I don't increment here, if I don't reinitialize this value again to 0, and if I increment the count value here, then what happens is like, now we'll take 2. 2 is nowhere available. For example, 2 is not there. Okay, so there is no repetition this. So still the count is equals to 0. If I write the condition like this, what happens? If count is greater than 0. Okay, so I want to. So here, what is that value that we have? So this is the for loop. And what is the scope of this J variable is like? The scope of this J variable is within the block that we have defined as part of like for loop. But what is the I value that we have? We have scope. So this will be like within this for loop. So we can use that A of I. Okay. So just we are, see, the thing is like just I'm taking some space for kind of like to compare the values. Okay. So A of I or A of J, A of I and A of J will have a same set of values. Okay. But the thing is like I'm just trying to call them based on the positions here. Okay. So this will call the element which is there in this position. And here it will call the element which there is in the position I+1. That's nothing but the second element. Okay. So I and J represents the positions. Actual values like A of I and A of J will have this actual values. Okay. So now here I'm going to say that value repeated the count. Okay. So here in this case, what happens now? You must have clearly understand, right? So at the second iteration, if I don't take this one as like, for example, if I take count is equals to 0 or something here, I'm defining this count here. You see, we'll get all invalid set of data. What it says like, see, one value repeated one time, 2 value repeated one time, and 3 value. 3 value is like it's repeated only once, but it's showing 2 because we are keep on counting incrementing the count. Here it is 1, it will become plus 2. So in this case, again, you see, there is a 4 value, it is repeating only once, but now what is the count? It is 3. So it's getting like 3 here. Okay, it is showing the output as like 3. So for that reason, what we have to do is like after the comparison is done, then again we have to reset this count. Okay, so for this reason, we have to take this count and we have to reassign this value 0 to it. Okay, so let's go and execute this program and see what is the output. right? 1 repeated once. 2 is never repeated. Okay. 3, 4, 5 repeated once. Okay. So now we can able to see that this particular number is repeated once in a whole set of array. Okay. So let me put 2 here. See this value. We got this output, right? So are you clear with this?
Can you please explain once again that count that you have taken? Yeah.
The count we have taken this count because the reason behind this is like if we don't reinitialize this value again, then what happens is like, see, the first time we got the 1 value and we have incremented, right? So here we found this 1 when I'm comparing the values. So what is the count here? It becomes 1. Okay. So, and it will try to count the rest of the values and it did not find anything. It will go and print count is greater than 0 and I will, like, 1 value is like repeated once. Okay. The value 1 is repeated once here. And now if I don't reinitialize this value, count is equal to 0, then what happens here is like it's going to be count is equal to 1. So here we have 2 and we have got only once repeated. 2 is repeated only once. So what is the count value here? It is 1, right? Because we are not reinitializing the count. So let me just take this count outside of it. We have to reinitialize. Otherwise, the value will be like, it will retain that 1 value here. So 1 will become 2 and 2 will become 3. Likewise, it will increment because see, 2 is now compared with this. We found 2. Okay, fine. Now what is the count here? It will become 2. Again, I'm taking another value like 3. I'm comparing the rest of the values. What is the count here? Already it is 2. Okay. So, but 3 found only once. But count, it will be incrementing the count. It will become 3. Likewise, it will keep on incrementing the value. If we are not reinitializing this value again, when we are out of this for loop. Okay. So that is the reason why we are putting this for loop. We are putting this count inside this first for loop. Okay. So that we can take this value, we can compare this and we can, if we find this, we increment the count value and we'll print it. And this I'm taking the second value and we are reassigning this count is equal to 0 so that I can understand like this value is like how many number of times it has repeated so that I can keep on counting that and I can print that here. Okay, based on the condition. See, we are using this condition, so print the value here itself in the first for loop. Okay, because second for loop will help you to compare the values and keep on the count. And this should be repeated for all the values that we are taking. Okay, so that is the reason why we are making that count is equals to 0. Okay.
Oh, okay, Shikhar.
So there is another catch here. So do you see that this is like only one set of things which are repeated? Okay. So let me have more values here. Say, observe carefully. What is that output that we are going to get? This is not correct, right? So this part is correct. But see, why these values are repeated again? Can you guess the reason here? I'll tell you. See, one is for the first time when we are just taking this value and trying to compare, right? So how many times the one is repeated? It repeated like twice. Okay. So twice and we got the count properly. Now let us take this comparison is done and this rest of the values have compared with the rest of the values and we got like every value is like repeated twice. Now when it comes here, again it will go and try to compare this value, right? So 1 is compared with 1. Then it will repeat like it will show that this is repeated once. Okay, this is repeated once. It will compare 2 with the rest of the values. Here we got the 2. It will say that it is repeated once. Okay, but at the first time what we are doing, we are taking the element and we are trying to compare with this. So at the first time we are getting the proper result. But again, you see, we have another value wherein we are going to take this value and that value is again repeated here. Okay, so when we are trying to compare this logic. Okay, so for this reason, what we have to do is like when we do the comparison at the first time, what do we need to do is like, we need to take that value and we have to convert, or else we have to assign some value to it. Okay. So here what I'm going to do is like, I'm going to take a special character. Okay. So special character is like dollar. Okay. Special character is dollar. So I'm comparing this value with the values, whatever we have in this set. And if I find any value, like, this is like the value which is repeated, right? So I'm going to replace this value with a dollar. Okay. Replace this value with a dollar. And I'm going to count it. Like, first I'm going to take the count. So first time the count will be 1. And the value of 1 will be like replaced with the dollar. Okay. A of j will be replaced with dollar. And there's the next iterations. Like now it will keep on iterating the values, right? Here it found the 1 value. So what is the count here? Count becomes 1 plus 1 is equals to 2. So here that 1 value, this 1 value is also becomes dollar. Okay. So now this is fine, but we have to print the values here. Okay. So to add one more condition, that is nothing but I'm going to add, and a of I is not equals to dollar. Okay. Now you see, you got the count. We are counting that particular number of times that element is repeated and putting the condition here. Like, the count would be like 1, 2 or something. It will check this condition. If this is true, and then it will go and check for this next condition. It shouldn't be a dollar symbol. Okay. So it shouldn't be a dollar symbol. Then it will show the number of times it has repeated in the array. Okay. So now you'll get the proper output. Now you see, 1 is repeated twice. Okay. 1 is repeated twice. So next time what happens is like, now it will come here. Okay. There is a dollar and dollar. Dollar and dollar. So dollar and dollar will be compared, but we have another condition here, right? So we are putting like, it shouldn't be, the value shouldn't be a dollar. Value shouldn't be a dollar. So first time when I try to compare this value, it will compare this value, it will turn this 1 into a dollar, then this will turn into 1 into a dollar. So what is the count here? We got count 2 and we are assigning the dollar value. But here condition I'm putting is like, it should be greater than 0 and it shouldn't be a value dollar. Then you can print that value. So what it does is like, it will take that particular value, that's nothing but 1, and it's going to show like number of times it has repeated. Okay, ignoring the dollar values. It can be anything. You can put any notation. Okay. So if you want to use the space, you can use the space. So whatever you use, like any other presentation, just to know that it is being replaced. So it shouldn't be a one thing. It shouldn't be a, something like, numeric value here. Okay. So if you put 22 in this case, what happens now? Again, it's going to take this value and it will compare this value. Okay. So again, you have to put some other condition. So it's like when you are using with any of this numeric notation, better to use some special characters. Okay. So put anything. It can be a percentage or it can be a dollar. Okay. So dollar is like just is a notation that would be easily identified. So that is the reason why I'm just putting as like dollar. Okay. You can put any other characters. Okay. So the condition is like, now any repeated value is there. If any repeated value is there, then I'm going to make that value as like some special notation. And here in this condition, I'm ignoring that. Okay. So this is nothing but not equals to. Okay. So any value that you are taking shouldn't be equals to dollar and the count should be greater than 0. Then only you can print it. Okay. For example, you see, I'm just removing this 2. So 2 will be never shown here. Because 2 is not repeated anytime. You see, 1, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Are you clear with this, guys?
Yes, Shrikant.
Okay. So let's go ahead, and this is the first program we have discussed, right? Duplicate. Now we are going to discuss about the sorting. Okay. Sorting. How do we do the sorting? Let us say we have some values here 4, 6, 7, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, so let me put in a little jumbled way 55, 34. Otherwise, I'll take 6, 1, 2, 4, 3, 7, and 5. Okay, so I want to organize them like it should be an ascending order. Okay, so what is the ascending order of this sequence? Arrays
1, 2,
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is the output I should get. Okay, so here what I'm going to do is the same two for loops that I'm going to take because I need to compare this value with this value. If this value is less than, if this value is greater than this value, okay, it should swap. Okay, so if 6 is greater than 1, then it should take the position 1 should take the position 0 and 6 should take the position of 1. That is nothing but index 1. Okay, so for this what I'm going to do is I'll take the first for loop. In this first for loop I'll be taking one value at a time and this value will be compared with the rest of the values here. Okay, so if this value is greater than this value, then it has to swap. Okay, so for this how many number of variables that we can use? We saw the swapping program, right? So swapping program, if you want to swap the values, then we have to have two variables. That's two or more variables. Okay. So one variable I'm just taking as value, the other value comparing two values. And if two values are which is less than or greater than or something, then we are storing that previous value into temp, and that temporary variable will be again reassigned back to the values that we have. Okay. So here what I'm going to do is simply what are the variables that I'm going to take here is I'll have a array and then I'm going to take the temp variable. Okay, temp variable is just to use that value. Okay, so original value will be stored in temp value and the other original value that will be swapped, and this temp value will be assigned to the original value. That's nothing but the other original value. Okay, so in the sense if I'm talking about A, B and temp. Okay, so how do we swap it? A is equals to, sorry, when we have temp is equals to A and A is equals to B and B is equals to temp. This is nothing, we have to do this. Okay, so in the first iteration and the first for loop, when we are taking the first iteration, it will take this value and it will try to compare these values. Okay, so here what I'm going to do is I'll take for loop. So here in this, to get one value at a time, I'm going to take this condition a dot length I plus plus. Okay, so here the same logic, j is equals to, we cannot compare same value, right? So what I'm going to do is j is equals to I plus 1. Okay, we are taking the second value. Okay, we should not take the first value because if we compare the same value, then what happens? There is no use of it, right? So it will be, anyways, the condition will be false. So for that reason, we will not taking this value. We are taking from this value. Okay, so now so j is less than a dot length. So j plus plus. Okay, so after this, here I'm going to put the condition. So what is that condition now? We have to check for the value, right? Which one is greater? So a of I is greater than a of j. Then what I will be doing? I need to swap the values, right? A of I will be moved to the temp. Then a of I, should be assigning the value. Okay, temp will be assigned. Left assignment, that's nothing but we are assigning the value. Like if you put something at the left side, that is nothing but the value is getting assigned to that. Okay, so this is nothing but the variable. Temp is the variable, and this is the value a of I. Okay, so first what is happening here in this case is 6 is greater than 1. Okay, 6 is greater than 1. So here what happens now? What is the value of temp now?
6.
6. Then if I want to swap this value, a of I to a of j, or a of j or a of I, then what I have to do now?
Equal to A of J.
Okay, so now what is the value of a of I? 1, right? You can see. First a of I is like 6. A of j is 1. So I'm assigning this a of I to the temp. So what is the value here? So temp will be like 6. A of I is equals to a of j. So now what is happening now? 6 is replaced by 1. What is the value that we have for a of j? 1. Okay. So after this, finally what we are going to do is like, I'm going to reassign this value. A of j is equals to temp. Okay. So what is the value of temp now? What is the value of a of j?
1.
6, not 1. How would 6 1 becomes? 1 is like already I'm assigning this value, right? A of j value is like 10 to a of I. So a of j will become temp. So what is the temp value here? 6. Okay, likewise this comparison will be done. Okay, 6 will be compared with 1. Okay, so again we see that 6 is greater than 2. Again in the next iteration, what happens is like, now this temp value become,
6.
what is a of I value now?
1.
Here what is the value of a of I is equals to a of j? If I say a of j,
2.
will it become 2 or 6?
Or 2.
Yeah. So then after what happens now?
A of J equals to 2.
A of j is equals to 2. Will it become 1?
No, it is 1.
See, again I'm reiterating it. Okay. So it's the next iterations. Now what is happening is the first iteration, it is done. Okay. So what is the temp value here? We have temp value 6. And what is the value 1? We have a of I. So this is nothing but this is switching, right? It's switching the position here. At the first iteration, what happens is like, see, I'll tell you. 1, 6, 2, 4, 3, 7, 5. Okay, this is like first iteration in the second for loop. Okay, first iteration in the second for loop. Now here it's going to check the value. J is less than a dot length. Yes, this is true. What is the value of j becomes? J becomes, it is already, we have a 0. J is equals to, what it does is like, it is like, initialization is only done once. Now what is the value of j? It was first initially it was 1. Now it will become 2. Okay. So a of I, what is the a of I value here? What is the a of I value here? We already switched it, right? 6. 6 is compared with 2. That's nothing but 6 is compared with 2. Now what is the value here? It will become a of I is equals to 6. This will be 2. This will be 6. Okay. So likewise, it will be switching its position. Now 6 will be like replaced with 2. In the second iterations, it will become 1, 2, 6, 4, 3, 7, 5. So in the next iterations, 1, 2, 4, 6, 3, 7, 5. Okay. Again in the next iterations, 4, 3, 6, 7, 5. Okay. 2, 3. Likewise, it will continue 3, 7. What is now? Now you see
7,
6
6,
greater than
5.
6 is not greater than this one, right? So what it will do is like it will leave this. Okay. So now 2, 4, 3, now it will not switch its position, but which value will be like, no, it will, these two conditions are false. Okay, this condition is true. Okay, when we compare this value, this is fine. Okay, so 6, 7. So what happens now? 5, 7, 6. Okay, so this is how what it will do is like it will keep on repeating the values. Okay, this is like first iteration in the second for loop. Now, what is the value of now what it does is like, what is the value of this a of I in this case is like, second iteration. The first iteration, it will pick the 6 value, and the second iteration, it will pick the 2 value. Okay. So now 2 will be compared with the rest of the values. Okay. So here 2 will be compared with the rest of values. So now for the first iteration again in the second for loop. Okay. So this is like, again, it will start j is equals to, now I plus 1 is like j is equals to 2. Okay. It will pick this value. Okay. Whatever we have is like 0, 1. Okay. So it will pick this value. This value will be compared with this value. Okay. So now the first iteration, how it will perform in the second for loop is like 1, 4, 2, 3, 5, 7, 6. Now gamma 2, 4, 3, 5, 7, 6. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 6. Like this, it will move this value. Okay, it will swap this value. Only the condition is like, we have this condition to be satisfied. Otherwise, it will take the next value and it will try to compare. Okay, so when this will work is like, when we have this value, whatever value we are taking should be greater than the value this one. Okay, so here it is not greater, so it is not switching its position, but it will take the next value and it will try to compare. So it will switch the position. But finally, when you see this, the 7 is greater than 6, right? So finally, the output will be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we'll try to write the program for this and we can understand this. Sorting arrays. Okay, we have already discussed about the conditions that we are going to put it here, right? So we'll take them as like a base here. Okay, very easy. First for loop, write a first for loop here. So before that, I'm going to create an array which will have some values. What is that? What are those values here we have written is like, we'll take these values. Yes, please practice. You'll understand. This is very easy program. So only just you have to swap the values when it is like values like condition is defined over there. Okay. So here another thing is like, I'm going to take the temp. I is equals to 0, less than a dot length I plus plus. Okay. For int j is equals to I plus 1. Okay. J is less than a dot length j plus plus. Condition is like a of I. If it is greater than a of j, then what we have to do now? First is like, I'm going to temp. I'm going to take the temp value. I'm going to store it. So that is nothing but first temp. The value will be stored as like 6. Okay. A of I is equals to a of j. A of j. What is the value of j now? It is 1. Okay. Now a of j is equals to temp. Okay. So swapping, when do we print this value? If we try to print the values here itself, after this for loop, what it does is like, it's going to keep on repeating these values. Like you will get the output like this. Okay. So you will get the output like this. For first iteration, you'll get the output like this. In second iteration, again, you'll get the same set of values like, which after this swapping, what the values are being displayed. So, but what we have to do is like, we have to store like, all the values will be stored now. Okay. So swapping will be done. All the values will be stored in an array. So this will be sorted and it will be, finally, the sorting will be done after this condition is false. Whatever the condition we have specified here. Okay. So for this reason, what I'm going to do is like, I'm going to use another for loop here. So I'm going to now check the values which are stored after sorting. Got it, right? See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So if I try to print this value here, Let me put some space here. So just to show you the difference, just getting swapping, what happens actually. So that okay. Yes. If condition is true, then we have to print, right? So once again, just let me put it here. After this for loop. We want to print the A of 5. Okay, so I mean, what it is trying to do is like it will take this value and it will try to compare this value, but here it is showing like, you know, after this, whatever we are doing at this first iteration, second iterations in the second for loop, then it is printing here. Okay, so it's like still it is in the process. So what it is doing is like again it's comparing the values and it's trying to print it here. So that is the reason why it is showing all these things like this. But when we try to print these values like, you know, one at a time, then you can. So internally what happens is like internally it's going to do this set of actions. Okay, so here there it's like kind of it will take one value at a time. It will try to compare and swap these values. Okay, so otherwise we can do this step value will be also displayed. Should be stored. Let me just show you as like debug. How do we exactly debug it? Okay, so debugging is like internally finding out what is happening within the system. Okay, so this is little advanced, guys. Just I want to show you. So what are the values that we can get as part of like temp point? Here I'm going to put the condition. So here I'll commit. Okay, don't worry about this. What I'm doing now. Just I want to show you like how this internally works. Okay. Don't get confused with this. I'm trying to show you like what is that value. We have here I is equals to A of I is equals to 1. Okay, so this is the value we have taken, right? Oh, already it is like sorted. So that is the reason why it is showing that value. Let me just put it in some order. You should have told me this, guys. Yeah. Okay, so we'll start it and I'll show you what is that value that we are going to take. Okay. So what is the value of A of I? So now you can see. So it is showing like 6. Okay. What is the value of A of J? It will show the value as like 1. Okay. So now you can print it. When I print, it is printing 6, right? So what we have discussed here, it will be storing the, what is that? Yeah, 6, right? Temp value will be 6. Say of J will be like 6. You see, you keep on repeating this loop. This after first iteration is done, it is like coming out of this. Okay, so that is the reason why it is not showing the rest of the values. But when I try to print this value outside of this for loop, and I'll take this as like A of J, I want to see that what are the values which are printed as part of A of J. Okay, now you see, so these are the values which are printed, but okay, so it will be like, you know, first iteration 6, 2, 4, 3, 7. Likewise, it will do this iteration. Such as A of J. So if I take A of I, what is this sorted set that I'm going to get here is like, this is how it will start. 1, 2, 4, 4, 6, 6. Okay. Something like, it is like, we are swapping this value and finally it is not printing all the values at a time. Okay. So it will hold some values of A of J and A of I. So it's like first iteration, like first first iteration in the first for loop and all iterations in the second for loop. Now it will take the next value. Okay, so next value it will take 2 will be compared with 3, 4 2 will be compared with 4 will be compared with 3, likewise 6 will be compared with 7, likewise it will continue to do all the set of iterations. Okay, so again it will have one set of list, again this one. Okay, so this one will be the input. So it will be compared 2 will be compared with 4 and 2 will be compared with 3. If it is greater, then it will swap, otherwise it will not swap. Okay, so likewise it will keep on swapping the values. So finally when I try to print this as output, you can see, I'll just remove everything. So this should be done after completing all the iterations. Okay, so you cannot print in between. If you print in between, this will be the output that you will see. So if you want to get the meaningful output, then you can see this is like after completing every iterations. Okay, you can get this value. So it can be anything, guys. So it can be like you can have 7, 8, or 9. You can put any number of values that you want. Okay, still it will do the comparison and it will execute that by sorting the values. Only the simple logic here is like, guys, so we should have this logic defined. Okay, so if this value is greater than this value, then it will swap. Otherwise, it will not swap. Okay, so this is like ascending order. To get the descending order, what we have to do now? This is like the values that we are putting in ascending order, right? From smaller to the higher. From higher to lower, what we have to do now?
A of I less than A of J.
Okay. A of I is less than A of J. Then it will put it in sequence. Okay. This is very simple, guys. If you understand the swapping, right? So then it's everything will be. Swapping is like just take this value and compare with the rest of the values. If value is greater than any of the values, then it will swap. Just changing the position. Okay. So see, now A of I will be like, A of J. But we have to store this value somewhere, right? Because we have to swap this value again. So if we are not swapping this value, this will be gone. If I don't do this and don't store this value, A of I values any of this temp variable, then what happens is like this value will be removed. I mean, like it is swapped, right? That value will be replaced. So to hold this value again, I'm going to put some variable. So this variable will have this value, and that particular A of J will be replaced by this temp value. Okay. So this is all about like sorting. Whatever programs we are discussing today, these are like interview program, guys. They are going to ask you the logic. Okay. So how exactly it happens, and can you tell me what is the logic behind this? You can simply explain. This is the actual logic. Okay. This is the only actual logic that we can use for swapping. Okay. So we have another things still we can do with collections that I'll discuss when we go with the collections. Okay. So to give a simple heads up that what I'm going to do is like to create public void odd elements. Okay. So here I'm going to just create a method. Now you'll be surprised to see this. So we have few other predefined methods. One, this will be 2. Simply I'll take these values here. So this is like second approach, guys. A dot sort element. Is it doing now? So it is just trying to print this value, right? So what I'm going to do is like I'll just use another method as we discussed. There is another method, right? So I'm just using this method. These are like simple shortcut, guys. Okay. So now you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Because here we have just defined this logic. So that is the reason why it was showing like one is like ascending, another is like descending. Now you see, we get the same output. So this is same, like you can see, we have same things achieved through the help of this predefined method. Okay, internally it does the same thing. When you look into this sort, so we have a sorting mechanism, so it does the same thing. Here you see. So it's going to compare this value, but this is little different when you look into that. We have some if cases that we have used and for loop, but here in this case, what it does is like it's going to use some ternary operator. Okay, so all the things it's going to do in this fashion. Okay, internally we have this logic which is defined, and this logic will help you to reverse those things. Okay, reverse those given values. I mean, like sort those reverse values. Sort or reverse those values given values. So we can use this predefined. Another thing is like another approach is like I'll show you. This I'm showing because we definitely these things will be asked in interviews. Okay. So here we have another method. It's nothing but so these are collections actually. Okay. So these are little advanced guys, but this does the same thing. Okay. We just turn it as like converting these things. Okay. So I'll discuss all these things, guys. Okay. Don't worry. What I'm discussing is like just to help you out. How do we exactly do it? We should have this defined here. I just try to change it as like array list. Created this. So I'm just going to use teacher view. Okay, so these are like other advanced things that we can tell them that we can do in this fashion also. So it's like it would be appreciated if you can go with this. This is traditional approach, and these are like kind of our time saving approaches generally we use in programming. So whenever you are writing like the scripts and all to save your time, this will be used. Another thing is like we are going to use this set of things so that it will be easy for us to use in set of collections. Okay, when we are doing with the collections that we can do it. Okay, so here what I'm going to do is like I'll take. We are getting all the values now. Okay, so it's kind of like we are getting one value at a time. So what to add. Otherwise, we can print the set value directly. But like I'm printing the arrays, but sets can be directly printed here. We'll take 1, 2, we have 3 out, right? Okay. Got it, right? So it is all up to us, right? How do we use it actually? Okay. So whether you want to go with the collections and you want to put it as like sorting, or you can directly go and use it. Another way is like we have another approach also, that collections classes that we are going to discuss. So this is kind of like a fourth method, but I'm going to use it. So I'll say that collections dot sort, and you specify like list of elements here. So it would be sorting only the elements here. Okay, you can take that array list and you can add one at a time. So then you can do it. Okay, so here I'm not going to take that like this, but because sorting, what it does is like it's going to take the list of elements, whatever list of elements that we have as part of collections. So it will take and it will sort it. Okay, so don't worry about this method. We'll discuss in detail. So you get confused if I start talking about those things. Okay, so this is how we can achieve, guys. So this is like your traditional approach, and this is like you can use the collections and you can sort it. Okay, so tree set, and we'll discuss what is set, what is list, what is tree set, what is has set, what is linked has set. A lot of things are there in collections. And this is another class, arrays class. So this arrays class will have a predefined method. Okay, this is specially designed for arrays. For sorting, doing the binary sorts, binary search, everything is like it will be available under this particular class. Okay, so this is about like sorting things, and now we'll go and discuss about like how do we do the left rotation. Okay, let's look into the sequence what we have written here. Yeah, left rotation. So this is kind of a little logical thing that we should have. Like if you are doing the left rotation, how does it exactly work? Is like we have 1, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is like we have a set of values which are there in the array. Okay. So here what we are trying to do is like we want to do the left rotation. When we say left rotation, we are switching the position. This will be moved to this position, this will be moved to this position, this will be moved to this position, and this will be moved to this position, and this should be moved to the last. Okay, it should come back. Okay, so what is the output of it is like, it should be like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. Okay, it's when you look into the left rotation, if I say left rotation, what it should do is like this element should be pushed to the back. That's nothing but from left hand side it should go. Okay, it should go. It's kind of like a circle that we have. So it should move in a anti-clockwise direction, clockwise or anti-clockwise direction. Okay, so that's nothing but it should move in a left. So to do this, what we have to do is like this very, very simple logic. Guys. This is very important, and generally these things will be asked in interviews because to understand your logical thinking about how exactly internally the things will work. Okay, so it's like simple. You see, again we are going to take a for loop. Okay, so in this for loop I am going to put I is equals to 0, I is less than a dot length, I plus plus. Okay, now it is very simple. Again we have to take the temp variable because now you see it's also kind of a switching. Okay, because we are shifting this position, right? This position will be moved to this will be moved to this is, and all like finally this will be moved to this. Okay, so for this reason what I'm going to do is like I'm going to take temp variable. Okay, and I'm going to shift whatever the variable that I have in a of I. Okay, so a of I is like, what is the a of I now? It is 1. Okay, when I say a of 0 is nothing but it's 1. One value will be stored in temp. Now what I'm going to do is like I'm going to shift the position of a of I is equals to nothing but a of I plus 1. The value I'm taking forward. Okay, so this will be replaced, this will be replacing this value, and this will be replacing this value, and this will be replacing this value. Okay, likewise it will replace the value. Okay, so after this what I'm going to do is like now I got the temp value. Okay, This temp value, I'm holding this value to put it at the end actually. Okay, to put it at the end. I'll move this value. Okay, so how it will work is like, I'll show you in the paint. Try to understand it, guys. It's very simple. We have 1, 2, and we have 3. Right. Okay. We have 3 here. I'll write bigger. 4, 5, and 6. So what is the A of I value first? The one is like A of I. Okay. So this value is moved to the temp. Okay. I'm holding this value because I want to store this value into this position. Okay. So now what is happening is like, for this reason, what I'm going to do is like, I'm going to write a logic called temp is equals to A of I, and A of I value will be replaced with A of I plus 1. Now, A of I plus 1 is equals to 10. So what I'm doing is like, here I have a 1 value, here I have a 2 value. Okay. So I'm moving 2 value to the first position. That's nothing but index 0. Okay. And I'm holding that 1 value. That's nothing but index 0's value. And I'm just swapping those values. Okay. Now it will become 1. This is at the first iteration. Now again, it's like temp is equals to A of I. What is the A of I value now? A of I is equals to 2. Okay. So 2. Now after this, what I'm going to do now? If I say A of I value, what is the A of I value now?
2.
Will it become 2 or 1? If I say 2, you say 2. Now tell me what happens with this.
A of I is equal to A of I plus 1.
I plus 1 is like, what is I plus 1 value now? We switch the values, right? So first it became 2 and it became 1. So A of I, if I am taking A of I, that is nothing but A of I is like, now it will become A of 1, right? So what is the value of it? It will be like 1.
1.
Okay. So this will not change its value. Position would be changing, but one value remain same, because we see what we are trying to do is like, we are reassigning this value. Okay. Pushing 2, keeping that 1 with me. Again, I'm pushing 3, keeping that 1 value with me. Again, pushing 4, keeping that 1 value with me. Likewise, I'll be pushing all values forward. I'm putting this 1 value with me always, because I'm putting like, A of I plus 1 is like next iteration. What happens? It will become A of I, right? So that is the reason why. So we are going to write this logic C. Now what I'm going to do is like A of I plus 1. See, next iterations, what happens now? Next iteration, this will become A of I. Okay. So this will not remain like A of I plus 1. So let me write the program so that you can understand. Okay. So this is how we have to write this. Now logic is like, we'll be taking keeping this value and we are replacing this here. So this will become A of I at the next iteration, right? 1 will be the value of it. And this will become A of I plus 1. This will be pushed forward and A of I will be like, again, it will be replaced with 1. So likewise, we'll be switching the values. Okay. So let's write this program. So guys, you have to practice this. This is very important. If you don't practice, you'll forget. Okay, take any other things. Okay. So I'll give a simple program today for your assignment so that you can work on that. 5, 6. Okay. So for loop, int I is equals to 0, less than length. Okay. So here I'm going to take another variable called temp, so that I want to store the value of this particular element that you want to do the rotation. Okay. So here I'm going to say temp is equals to A of I. So A of I is equals to the value whichever we have, like 2 is replaced with 1. Okay. For this, what I'm going to do is like I plus 1. Now I have like I plus 1 is equals to temp. Okay. So now it's like I'm swapping. Here, what is the value? It is 1. During the first iterations, okay, this will become 1. This will become 2, and this will become 1. Okay, so next iterations, the value will be like 1 again. The value here, it will become like 3. This value become 1 again. Okay, so like this, it will keep on holding this value. Just switch the values and keep that value hold. Okay, so when we just try to print this, this dot string get our index out of bound exception. Why is that showing our index out of bound exception? We are trying to print the values which is not there. Okay, a plus 1 is like I plus 1 is like it's trying to hold that value. So here I'm reducing it. I got it right. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. Now tell me, like I want to do like this is like only one round of iterations. But I want to do like I'll say that do the like 3 left rotations. If I do the 2 left rotations, what happens now? At the next time, what happens? Like 3 comma 4 comma 5 comma 6 comma 1 comma 2. Okay, so this is like 2 rotations. If I do, this will be 3. Okay, so if I do 3 rotations, then it will be like 4 comma 5 comma 6 1 comma 2 comma 3. Okay, if I have to do these rotations, then what I need to do is like I'll just add one more for loop here. So here I'm going to specify the number of times that I want to do the rotations. Okay, so int sum j is equals to 0. So j is less than 2 j plus plus. Okay, so here what I need to do now? Tell me what I can do here. How many number of times that we have to iterate is like 2 times. Shall I write the condition? Here or here? We have already discussed like nested first, right? Can you look into this? This is a very simple thing that we have to do here. So just I want to do the 2 rounds of iterations. Okay, first round iteration is done. Then I'm just now printing the value, but I want to do the 2 rounds of iteration. I've just given a clue here. So j is equals to 0, j is less than 2, and j plus plus. Now tell me what can be done here. Any idea? Simply only execute it. I've written already logic, right? So I just want to confuse you like whether it will work or not. So only thing is like I want to do 2 rounds of iteration. First round is like only it will check for the condition. We don't have anything here. So if this is like it will run until this condition is false, right? So what it does is like it will do the iterations, like number of iterations that you want to do. I'm just giving like I told it like just go ahead with the 2 rounds of iterations, 2 rounds of left rotations. Okay, so it has done this 2 rounds of left rotation. So now you see 3, it's executed 3 times. Okay, so guys, you should be like logically thinking about like what can be applied on this so that we can achieve this. Okay, so this is like kind of logical building that we have to do. And next is like, are you clear with this, guys? Do you want me to explain it again?
Can you please explain it once again? Also, a dot length, why we have taken that -1?
A dot length -1 is like, see, what exactly happens is like when we are taking the indexes, as we discussed the arrays will start from 0, right? 0 index. Okay, so if you want to store the values, how do we store the values now? It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 6 and 7. So this one value will be stored at the position 0. This will be stored at 1. So this will be stored at 2 position. So now what I'm trying to do is like if I don't say length minus 1, what is the length it will show? Length will be like 7. But how many indexes we here we have? We have only 6 indexes. Now when I say dot length, minus 1, okay? So let me just show you, execute it. We'll throw the index out upon the exception because here is it. What I'm doing here, I plus 1. So if I take 6 plus 1 is like 7. 7 is it. So here it will throw the exception because we don't have any value, but you are trying to store that value here. That is the reason why I've taken like minus 1. So what happens here? When you look into the condition length minus 1, that is nothing but if you are taking, for example, 6 and we have a 5 value, 5 is the index. Okay. So it will check for that. Okay. 5 is less than or equal to 5. Right. So here it will become like here we have a length 7. If I say, what is that a dot length is like, we'll get the value 7. 7 minus 1, 6. Now we have like exactly matching like indexes and the values that we have here. But I mean like the length, it is length. It's not the value. You're not talking about the value. It's like a length. Okay. So length, we are talking about like, 3 things here: position, value, and the length. So position is like it will start from 0. Length is like the size, actually, size of that array. And value is like value within that array. One value at a time. Okay. So don't get confused. Like I'll take 0, 20, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and 70. So how many values here we have? 7 values. How many indexes it will store? 6 indexes. What is the length of this? 7. 7 minus 1 is 6. Indexing and the value, set of values that it is matching. So that is the reason why it was like, throwing the exception there. So you are trying to add 7 plus 1, or else you can see what is the length of it. Here we have like 6. 6 plus 1, 7. So, but we are not matching with this and still you are trying to store the value. Wherein I don't have that index to store the value, the position. So that is the reason why it is showing index out upon exception. For the length 6 it is saying. Okay.
Yeah, okay, got it.
Now you execute it, you don't get any error here. Okay. Now it is like 3 times rotation. Like 3 times I'm doing the left rotation. So that is the reason why it is like, it's like pushing the values like 1. It was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now is the first rotation. So I did 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. The second rotation, I did like 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. The third rotation is did like 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Shall I stop it here, guys, or you want me to continue? So still we have these topics to discuss. I thought like today I can discuss 2-dimensional array, multi-dimensional array, and finding this second highest and nth highest of it. So I'll just complete this right rotation and stop it, and we can continue this with these things next class. Okay. So let me take right rotation. Now it is like we have to do from the right hand side. Okay, right hand side. So we did the left hand side, right? So now we have to do the right hand side. So if I say 1, 2, 3, 1, 5, 6. Okay. So if I do the left rotation, the output will be like 6, 1. But if I do the right rotation, what is the output? 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. No, not like this is the output. Okay, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here in this is left rotation. This is right rotation. Okay. From the right hand side, we have to take the values and we have to switch the position. From the right hand side, it should come first. If I take left hand side, it should come last. Okay. The value should be switched to the last position. Okay. Now tell me, how do we write the logic? I take int is equals to, I'll just rewrite this. Okay. We can write like this. Not here. We can write like this. Or else we can define like this. Or we can write like this. Okay, everything is similar. Whichever way you want to, this is my convenient way. I'm going to write like this. Okay, now tell me the logic. We have to take the elements from the last. Then what I have to do? Left rotation, we are incrementing the value. Okay. For the right rotation, we have to
Decrement.
decrement the value. For that reason, what I'm going to do is like I'm going to take first I'm going to take the size of this. Okay. What is the length of this? Okay. See, after this, what I'm going to do is like it's greater than 0, I minus. I need to take it from the last. So I'm going to do it from the reverse. Reverse is like first I need to take the length, then I do to take this take this value and I have to switch. Like no, I have to switch the position of this particular value. Okay, I need to push the values back now. Okay, back in the sense right side. Hold this value. So again, you have to take M. So here the same logic. Only thing is like we'll be changing our I minus 1. Okay, so there we use I plus 1 because we are like I minus 1. If I say I minus 1, what is the value of 6? What is the value of this particular position? It is like 6. 6 will be first, it will store the 6 value here. Then here, A of I is equals to 5. Okay, so it will be like switching the positions. Now minus 1 is like it. A of I value is like 5 here. No. Just give me a second. Yes, here you can see this is A of I. What is that A of I that I have taken here? This is the length I have taken, right? I'm sorry for this. So now we have taken this value 6 here. Okay. So then A of I is equal to A of I minus 1. Sorry. Okay. So here you can see this is 5 value. Then ultimately, what is the value of with I minus 1?
10.
Okay, 10. Now what is the value of this? It will become 6. This is the next iterations. It will be 6. It will be 4. And it will be 6. In the next iterations, it will be like 6. Again, same thing because A of I minus 1 becomes A of I. Okay, in the next iterations. So that is the reason why it will become like this. You can see 6. 6. 2. 6. Oh, sorry. 2 and it is 6. So like this, what it does is like it's going to switch the positions from the back. Okay. So it's going to switch the positions from the back. Finally, we'll get the output as like 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So let's go and try to execute this program. So just I'm going to take this. Save our time. We have already written this, right? So I'm just choosing this. Let's go and execute it. We got the index output exception. What is the fix for this, guys? Now, two things that we can do. This is one solution. Another one is like, if I say greater than or equal to 0, we'll still throw the exception because 6 is greater than or equal to, like 0 is greater than or equal to 0. We will try to get that value, but there is no index here. So we can do one thing. One is like you can put one less than of it. And still we are getting this exception, -1 index, because we don't have value in it. Okay. So see how we are trying to analyze is like now see -1 again I'm 0 is less than 0 is greater than or equal to 0. These conditions becomes true. So it is showing this error. Okay. So now we'll just take only greater than 0. Okay. So it's all up to us, guys. How do we exactly think about this? And we need to understand the working model of that particular array. Okay. So we need to keep in mind positions, length, and the value that we have in the arrays. Okay. Rest of the things is like all simple logics that we can apply. Okay, just you need to analyze what we have to achieve. Okay, so we have to understand the problem statement. Okay, so my thing is like I need to switch the positions from the left. What I have to do is like, okay, I need to take this value and I need to keep hold of this value and to put it at the end. So I'll be switching the positions here. Okay, I'm not switching anything. See, these are all positions, not the values that we have inside this. We are just switching those positions. Okay, so these are the values. So based on these values, I'm going to just iterate these positions. So I'll iterate the positions. I'm not iterating any values here. Okay, so you have to make sure that you're just looking at the you're just keeping those things as part of like positions, not the values that you have. Okay, so that is the important thing. So if you want to do one more, as we discussed, round of iteration, then simply is greater than or equal to 1 j plus plus. That's it. Three positions. But it's not switching. What did I do wrong here?
We have incremented.
Okay, 0. J is greater than what? 0 is greater than or equal to 3. Will it be true? So that is the reason why it's not entering into this particular for loop. To make it enter into this for loop, what I have to do? What is happening here? It went into the infinite loop. Say it is still executing it. Okay, so I'll stop it. So tell me what is the logic that I have to apply here? Think about it, yes. What I have to put? Greater than or equal to. What happened? Yes, these are very simple things, and you should think of exactly what we have to do. Okay, so here I'm just taking 0. 0 is less than or equal to 3. So initially, what I did is like I took greater than or equal to 0. Okay, so what happens here? So this will become the infinite loop. If I say 0 is greater than or equal to 3, this is no way true. Yeah. What is happening now? This is working fine because what is the value of 0? What is the value of j? What is the value of j? 0. 0 is greater than or equal to 3. Will this condition work? So initially it went into the infinite loop. It did not come out of this particular loop. Now it is like it is failing this condition. It is printing this value. Okay. So this is okay. This is like else block. Something is like if it's not working, then it's going and executing this one. So this condition is also quite false. So it's not executing this particular statement. So to make it true, what we have to do?
Is less
Simply, right, less than 3. Got it right? So the thing is like it's so straightforward. If you directly try to solve some problem, so it will confuses sometimes. The thing is like, just go ahead with this set of practices. Okay. So first try to understand what is the solution and how do we can achieve this. Okay. So try to have this. And when you start working on these things and few other things, when you start programming, right? So few things you may be learning as part of programming, but the other thing is like it will help you to do some set of like, analysis sums with the help of like tools that we have here is like debug is like one tool that will help you to understand where exactly the things are failing. Okay. So this will learn how to do the debug. So this is very important for us to understand the structure of the program, how the control is flowing. Okay. So I'll teach you that one also, guys. Don't worry about like, how do we do the debugging. But here I want to show you like how this values will be exchanged. So that is the reason why I'm just putting some comments and showing you. But down the line, when we learn more things, then we'll see that how do we do the debugging. Okay. How do we inspect? How do we watch? How do we add the variables? And how do we do the step into or step over? Or how do we just, move the control from back to forward, forward to back and resume this. Okay. All these things I'm going to discuss. Okay, guys, please practice this tomorrow. Today I'll be uploading this, guys. Sorry, yesterday I was like busy occupied with other office work. So I'm not able to do it. But today, for sure, I'm going to upload. Okay. So you'll find all these programs in an hour. So you got the access for the portal?
Yes.
Okay. Give me some time, guys. I'm going to upload everything. So you'll get all the stuff related to manual as well as like automation. Okay. So Monday we'll be talking about finding the second largest element. Max-min already we have looked into, right? So and we'll see that finding the nth highest element in two-dimensional array, multi-dimensional, then jagged arrays also. Okay. So please practice this, guys. This is very important and try to, this is not the only way that we can achieve the goals. Okay. So the other thing is like, as I told you, like you can apply another formulas also or other logics also.
Okay, Shravan. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, guys. We'll meet on Monday.
Okay, thank you, sir.